this video, we're going to take a look at two very useful chord voicing techniques. My name is Paul Tobey from jazzmental.com. Thanks for joining me for another one of my tutorials. The first voicing we're going to take a look at is the 6th diminished scale using drop 2 voicings, and then the second one is descending tritone substitutions. Let's take a look at the sheet music, and we're focused on the tune Someone to Watch Over Me by George Gershwin. Let's just go ahead and play the first line, which contains the 6th diminished chord voicings. And then it's going to use the descending tritone substitutions. But let's take a look at this first part. We've got an A flat major 7th chord, but in this case, we're going to change it to A flat 6th because we're going to use what's called the 6th diminished scale. If you're not familiar with that, it works like this. In this case, it's going to be a major 6th diminished scale. So A flat with a 6th. And then every other chord is a diminished chord built on 5/7. So 5/7 of A flat is E flat 7. And if we made a flat 9, there's our diminished chord. There's the flat 9, the 3rd, the 7th, and the 5th. So if our first chord is A flat 6th, the next chord is E flat 7, but just using the diminished chord. And then just go up the scale from there. You see how that works? And then what we're going to do is we're going to actually drop the second note from the top. So if our melody note is this, we go up the diminished scale to that chord, take the second note from the top, and drop it down here. That's drop 2 voicing. Again, the second note from the top drops down an octave. And then every other chord is a diminished chord. You see how that works? And it's a very nice sound. Listen. Now, in this particular case, even though this chord is a diminished chord, and let's call it a G diminished 7th chord, this note is an A flat 6th, and so are the others until you get to here. And then we've just thrown in a different chord, in this case, B flat minor 7. Now, we could have used A flat 6, but I thought it sounded better as a B flat minor 7th chord. Again, you can really do anything you want as long as it sounds good. So let's go from the beginning again. Okay, what a great sound. So let's move on to the descending tritone substitutions. We're going to start right here at the D half diminished 7th chord, and we're going to go right through to the A7 sharp 11 chord, ending here. And what we have is a series of 2/5s. This is a 2/5 of C minor. This is a 2/5 of B flat. And this is a 2/5 of A flat. So even though the destination chord is B flat minor, you get the idea. It's just a series of 2/5s. Now, instead of using the actual 5 chord, which would be G7, so D half diminished 7th to G7, we're going to go down a half step because G7 and D flat 7 share the same tritone. So if this is G7, our tritone is this. If it's D flat 7, our tritone is this. Same chord. Just take the F, move it down. So D flat 7, G7. And that's where tritone substitution comes in. You just basically swap the tritones from those 2 chords. The thing about that is it descends the bass line in half steps by semitones. So semitone descending. So from D to D flat, C to B, D, D flat, C, B, B flat to A. Okay. So the reason why that's going to sound great is because of that descending semitone line. There's a lot of dissonance in there, and the reason for that is basically a sharp 11. And the reason why we're using tritone subs is because if you take a look at the melody note, in each of these cases, those are the sharp 11 of that chord. So D half diminished 7th to D flat 7 with this sharp 11. C minor. This is the sharp 11 of B7. And this is the sharp 11 of A7. And that's where the dissonance comes from. And they make really cool voicings because of that sharp 11 in the melody note. Let's play it from the beginning of the line. One more time. Great sounding chord, right? It's because of this cluster. So basically you've got the 9th, the 3rd, and the sharp 11 in this cluster. Just sounds great. Okay, there's one other place where we're using the 6th diminished scale, and that's going into the bridge. Right here. We're going to start here on these 3 pickup notes to the bridge. So let's say the bridge starts here on the D flat. So the first chord, just like at the top of the tune, this is a G diminished 7th chord. So you're going from like E flat 7, with a flat 9 to A flat, except we're just using G diminished. 3rd, 5th, 7th, and flat 9 of E flat. That makes G diminished 7th, but we're using this inversion and dropping the 2nd note from the top down here. Do you see how that works? And you can use this pretty much anywhere you see a scale or a major scale. There's also minor 6th diminished scales, but we're going to save that for another video. So this is the major 6th diminished scale, and we're using it as an introduction to the bridge. Now, this whole arrangement I've written out and transcribed for you. It's basically my own arrangement using the 6th diminished scale, but also the descending tritone substitutions. The entire arrangement you can download. Just go to this link. I'm going to throw it up here in the corner. Just go check that out. It's going to be really helpful to go through the entire arrangement. Let me play a little bit of it for you just so you get a sense of the actual arrangement. All right, that's it. I'm not going to take you right to the end. You can check that out when you go download the sheet music. If you have any questions about the 6th diminished scale, drop 2 voicings, or the descending tritone substitutions, just put them in the comments below. Also, let me know if you actually like those voicings. They are a little bit dissonant, and it takes a bit of getting used to, but anything that works from a dissonance standpoint that helps the ear think dissonance, resolution, that's what jazz is all about. And these are two very useful types of voicings and progressions that you can use in pretty much any jazz standard or even your own tunes. As always, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps us here at the channel. If you'd like to subscribe, if you're not subscribed yet to the Jazz Mental channel, we'd love to have you. Just click the little bell when you do, and we'll notify you of all the upcoming videos. And we're doing live stream presentations every Saturday now, so you can be notified of those as well. And recently I did this video, which is quite popular, on how to play Brad Meldau's version of Blackbird. If you want to check that out, that video is right here.